I'm Jeffrey Villadwen in the 8th episode of my Gwined campaign from Thrones of Britannia, and there are going to be 2 battles in this episode, so this episode is going to be full of battles. So, the first event is Tudwall has gained a fair-minded trait. This is our kingdom at the moment. If you remember from last time, it's in yellow. We have gone to war with West Seaxe and we've taken a lot of territories in a kind of blitzkrieg. And here's that a very big West Seaxe army has gone towards Bath, where we have our king. Our king is in Bath. Various other armies are going south, or the second big army of West Seaxe is going south. We have some generals there as well. Saga had gone to war with Gwined. We have now offered them peace. They were very weak. They are Welsh. They accepted our offer. Powys is another Welsh faction. They have joined us in our campaign. They are sending an army down. An army of 20 units, a full stack. Here is Harborg that had occupied some areas of Powys. We are now at war with Harborg. There's various other Scottish and Irish factions. More Irish factions. Okay, and I paused at this point so we can have another look at our empire. So I went out of the game and back in again. So you can see our kingdom has grown in size. I do believe we are the strongest kingdom in the campaign at this point. For the glory of the Cymry! We are in the spring of 888 AD. There are some rebels near Doncaster, near this place here, West Seaxe, possibly Worcester. And we have 2 generals here. We have Iorwerth with this larger army, and then Morkan with a smaller army. So here are the 2 armies. We're attacking the rebels on the right. We have Iorwerth with a main army. He's fully trained. He has 2 medium spear units and some cavalry. And the rebels have 3 spear units, some axemen and some archers. They also have some cavalry, so they have a nice balanced army, reasonably strong force. And Morkan is bringing up some newly recruited units. These 2 units of relatively light spearmen, relatively light. They're still upgraded, but newly recruited. So let's go into battle. Here is again the 2 sides. Here are here's the village on the right. We are going to fight on the slope of this hill. The balance of battle is about even, the weather is dry. And here is our army. Here is the army under Iorwerth.
Reinforcements have arrived.
And the reinforcements have arrived somewhere in the distance. They're on the left.
Strike them hard!
So here's Morkant, the cavalry unit is the general, and then there are 2 newly recruited spear units. They are upgraded levies. Here's the enemy army. These are the rebels.
Our warriors yearn to test their mettle.
It's good here. There's a guy who's backed out. Here's again their army. They have this heavy unit. It looks very shiny. They also have kite shields for the most part. Here's our army. Now Morkan has united with Iorwerth. The units Morkan brought are these 2 somewhat lighter, depleted or not fully recruited units here. Now here in the middle. They look less shiny than Iworth's units. And this is something I like. I just like to look around the settlements. I think it's like being a tourist in a past time, sort of in a time travel. So there is a mine in the settlement, and there were some sort of fields, there was some hay and so on. Whatever that was, I don't know, we'll find out. So here's our army, the infantry and the cavalry. We have some skirmishers as well. Here's the enemy army. They have plenty of levy spearmen, but they also have this heavy unit in the middle. I personally like these units. I think someone complained that they look a bit drab and whatever. I think they look great. They look good for the period. What do you expect? I don't want to have heavy knights charging around the field. This is not right for the period. So here's that heavy unit.
Glory awaits!
Here's our army. I mean, some people have some sort of penis envy or something. They want to have big, shiny units with, you know, heavy cavalry and whatever. I mean, you can still win this with this, you know, fight. Yeah, you can still have fun with these levies. I can. I mean, it's, you know, it's not just all levies. So here's our army on the left.
Blood will flow!
So there's a little bit of tension at the moment.
Nobble them!
Okay, looks like the enemy is quite happy to stay on the downside of this hill slope, so we're going to take the upside of the hill.
Strike them hard!
So here are again, you know, some of the units with the flags and everything on. So our cavalry now, we have some skirmishing cavalry, these are javelinmen. They are going to throw javelins at the flank, at the side of these units. They decided to come towards us, so we have to skirmish away. We killed about 7 or 8 of their men. And now we can charge downhill into their line. So we have the advantage because we have the height advantage. And it looks like some enemy units are already being routed. Here, the enemy left is javelin men in the rear, and we're attacking them with our cavalry. Morcant or Iworth, I can't remember which, one of the two generals attacked them. So here the enemy javelin men, they're engaged now in melee, they're retreating. And here's that shiny enemy unit, presumably the enemy commander is with this unit. I thought they had kite shields, now they have round shields. Am I confused? Didn't they have kite shields? Oh, we turned around, they're on this side. The guys with the kite shields are over here. Somehow they've turned around. Okay, we keep attacking units that try to come back. A couple of units rallied and try to come back. And so here we have attacked the enemy general. It looks like we have routed his unit and they are now fleeing for their lives. They had been surrounded. Yeah, that's the enemy unit that lost its nerve. So we routed the enemy general's bodyguard. And basically the battle is over. So that was a relatively small battle, a smallish battle. It was still a decent size battle. a little bit too quick, what can you do? But there is a bigger battle coming up, a really very big and very dramatic battle. The battles are not over yet.
God was not with us.
We're now chasing the routed enemy. The more men of the enemy we take prisoners, the better it is for our unit stats. This guy fell down and got up again. These animations are great. Here he got killed and he lost his axe or something. This animation is so much fun, I love watching them. So, is anybody else left? Must be someone. It's beautiful fields with his poppies. Here's another guy, he's retreating. Oh, he looks exhausted. Oh well, he's surrendered or something. Okay, so that was a battle. So, we had very light casualties compared to the enemy. So we lost 78 men and the enemy lost 714. So 9 times as many. Highworth has been victorious. We can either occupy or sack. I think we occupied. So the enemy commander Harold, the rebel, has deceased. He's died in battle. No, we sacked and now we can occupy. Let all rebels beware.
We are Arthur's folk, true of heart.
That's good to hear. So that's good. Some of these units got experience from this fight. That's very nice. So we've gotten now a new estate and these generals, wow, about 4 of them, 3 of them are low in loyalty. They're like children. I mean, they're just, gimme, gimme, gimme. It's like, come on people. Okay, so someone got this West estate. West Seaxe. And these are the victory conditions. We are very close to achieving short conquest victory. We have all the settlements that we need. Except we don't have enough provinces, we only have 5. And I think we're getting there with a short fame victory as well. Unfortunately, it doesn't say here where we stand, but you can read it if you open up one of the scrolls. I can't remember which one now. And so here's the Powys army. It's near this White Horse in the Downs here in the south part of England. The Paleolithic monument. There are more interesting monuments. Here's that stone circle somewhere near Chippenham or something. I seem to remember that. I may have visited it. Here's another Wessex army. You just saw it on the left. So these areas belong to Essex. They have 1 solitary general there. And there's some very interesting sort of features. So there is some kind of Stone Age hill fort of some kind. Here's Stonehenge. They've put all these kind of monuments into... There's another one here. This kind of, you know, Paleolithic monument with upstanding stones, whatever, and a horizontal stone on top of them. Here's another stone circle. More stone circles. This is near Abingdon or so, near Oxford. Northampton. Near Buckinghamshire. I'm not sure what the names of these are, but I'm pretty sure they're real. So here's our king, King Anorod. He's in Bath and Castor, and one of the West Seaxe armies is confronting him. It could be the West Seaxe king. It could be Alfred the Great. I'm not sure. So you can expect a showdown here between these two large armies. Coming up soon. So next game turn, we took. No, we are besieging Wareham in Dorset. And we're back
folk, true of heart.
to Bath. We are Arthur's folk, true of heart, and therefore we can attack Wessex. Now is the time for battle. So it looks like we have the advantage. I don't know if this is because we are in a fortified position, kind of. We have a similar size army. In fact, the enemy has more units. Has one extra unit. The enemy has more cavalry, including some heavy cavalry. We just have javelin men. We seem to have more melee units. We don't have very many spearmen. The enemy has more spearmen, but we have more axemen. The enemy has 4 swordsmen. We have 3. We just have superiority in axemen of all things. Everything else, the enemy has more numbers. So here are again the two armies. So it's raining. Let's wait. We wait and it's raining. Let's wait. Still raining. And it is raining. In England, it is either raining, 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 or raining. We are here. This is our army. Very glorious. These swordsmen have gumbensons.
The enemy approaches.
The enemy approaches.
Our hidden units have been discovered.
We have some units in the trees that have been discovered. Okay. And here's the enemy army. They look very glorious and they seem to be in a hurry to go into battle. So I'm going to show this battle from up above with all the units like other YouTubers do, but now then I'll zoom in so you can see the battle from above with all the flags and all that, with all the moves and all the usual things other YouTubers do. So you can see there are the enemy cavalry making a move on our right. We have some men there in the trees. We have some cavalry and 3 infantry units. We definitely have the advantage there. So let them come.
Strike hard. Levy man. Don't dawdle.
In the meantime, the rest of the enemy army is slowly approaching our center. And it looks like the enemy cavalry is trying to engage us there on the right. Here's the main enemy force. They're approaching. I'm gonna pause a couple of times, but for the most part I won't be pausing. I just wanted to block these units so I can do an AI group attack. So you block them, then you do AI group attack, and then you just click on an enemy unit with a sword, and then every unit selects whichever enemy unit is nearest. Now, unfortunately, the enemy is approaching this disorganized way, so that's going to disorganize ourselves as well. So here's that fighting on the right in the trees. So you can see now the enemy cavalry approaching. They're throwing some javelins, but we're in the trees, we're moving around, so it's difficult for them to attack us. We had some of our own cavalry here, and this is the enemy cavalry. I guess they're trying to outflank us, but we have cavalry of our own. And so they'll intercept them. And so the enemy javelin cavalry is now retreating. Now they've been engaged in fighting. This was a heavier enemy spear cavalry unit, so we attacked them in the trees. So now they're stuck in melee with our swordsmen here, so they cannot win this fight. We also have some spearmen and some axemen in this area, so the axemen have turned up. Our spearmen are heading for the other unit, the javelin cavalry unit. And so the enemy, oh here they are, the spearmen. So all 3 infantry units are now running after that heavy enemy cavalry, well, heavy, medium, and so they're running after them. We also throw in javelins, their jav cav. We've engaged the jav cav now with some spearmen and axemen. Okay, we can easily win this fight, obviously. So that sword unit that you saw earlier is now running to the aid of our right wing. So you can see here the fighting has started in the main line. Yeah, haste along. So our swordsmen are now going over to help in the main fighting. So you can see from above the view, there was an eagle that cried this, yeah, that was an eagle cry. So the eagle passing by. I guess there would have been birds of prey in those days, even large ones, all flying over England.
See, they flee before our might.
Okay, so we have some reserves, we haven't committed them. So the enemy has a gap there, so we're going to throw those reserves in that gap. They're running very slowly, unfortunately. We have some cavalry in the distance, you see it's outflanking the enemy. We also have some spearmen trying to outflank, but there's some houses there, so it's a bit of a problem. Here's that sword unit that was on the right fighting the cavalry. Now they have, I think it's that unit, could be another one that was on reserve. Now they've attacked the enemy here, so the enemy left wing is very weak and it's about to crumble. But their main line is very strong, so they put all their heavy units in their main line that you saw there. And we have trouble. We also have heavy units there, but we're outnumbered. So here our cavalry has clashed with the enemy cavalry. That was the cavalry that was trying to outflank, because they have a lot of skirmishing units in the rear. You can see them in the distance, but we were intercepted by the enemy jav cav. I think we can win this fight because the enemy jav cav was involved in some melee earlier, so they are somewhat depleted, but these annoying skirmishing units, they are shooting at our men. I just want to win that fight so we can... Okay, so just the enemy cavalry turn tail and run. We have won the cavalry fight here. We have some spearmen coming to our aid, so back to this view. So you can see here, I've gone this a little bit back, so here's where the cavalry attacked their cavalry, so the 2 cavalries have charged. You remember there was some reserves coming into this gap, so the reserves have arrived, and so they're now positioning themselves. The idea here is we should outflank the enemy main line, so this is what they're trying to do, but they're moving very slowly for some reason, maybe because of the rain. We're also being presumably hit by the enemy missile units. We're doing well on the right here against the enemy left wing. The enemy left wing is very isolated. Okay, one of our units here was routed. There's one of those sword units, unfortunately. It was routed. We're sending a king over to rally them. The main line has taken a beating because they are faced with all the heavy units there. We only had about 4 or 5 units as our main line, 5 units. And now the reserves are coming in, and so their main line is back under pressure. Those 24 swordsmen that had been routed were rallied by our king. Here's our main fighting. All the enemy heavy units are here. But we're slowly outflanking them from the right. And here's that glorious fighting with many of the enemy units and our own. Our own have red and green capes. A couple of units here have attacked the enemy rear or the enemy flank. The enemy left wing has almost been completely destroyed. Because I'm playing... okay, we'll route another unit. Because I'm playing in this style, and the whole battle took like 3 minutes and I had to micromanage like crazy. couple of the units just got astray, went astray. So here, spear units chasing all their missile units. Our cavalry is now almost upon their missile units, so the missile units are out of the battle now. The enemy is still doing well along the main line here. So this, on the foreground, these people are our own. We have some heavy spearmen in mail. So these are heavy spearmen here. And we have some light spearmen coming to our aid. Our main line has crumbled a little bit. That unit that was routed earlier was routed a second time, and another unit was routed, so we have two routed units. Nonetheless, we have almost surrounded the enemy heavy units by now. You can see all kinds of units of our own are running about, so the enemy is almost completely surrounded now. And we're on to another enemy unit, so we're doing okay.
Our men run from the enemy. This is shameful.
Not sure who's running. I think these are enemy units that are running.
Withdraw and regroup.
Or did they break? No, they broke one of our units. Yeah, here is that unit that said they broke a second unit. So they've broken two of our units.
The battle is turning in our favor.
But everyone else is holding. You can see now we are surrounding them. So this is the view from above with the flags and emblems and all that. So by now the enemy is almost completely surrounded. We have some archers that are shooting at their side. And our cavalry is taking prisoners, anyone who's routing, also the various missile units and so on. The fight in the distance has been resolved, so we've been victorious there.
The cowards! The enemy general is dead!
The enemy general is dead. I'm not sure if that was the enemy king. Could have been.
The enemy's routing! What's your command? Horsemen!
So our cavalry has destroyed those canvases. And so we just have now to defeat those heavy units of the enemy. We keep shooting at their backs with our archers.
Combat's in our blood!
Unfortunately, because of the rain and the kind of routed units that we were chasing, now we have a lot of units that have to take their time to get into the main fighting. We're on to another enemy unit there.
Cavalry!
So we're gonna send our cavalry to charge their backs. Okay, they just broke. And so suddenly they broke because their general had died.
Show no fear! They'll feel this!
So we had some routed units. Two of our sword units are routed, and all the other units are still in the game as far as I can see. Just two sword units were routed. They had to take the brunt of the enemy attack. They did okay, considering they held back the enemy for such a long time.
Ready and willing! We are the cavalry!
The battle up until now took about 7 minutes. That's including the build-up at the beginning, which lasted about 2 minutes or so. So battles are quite fast, I would say. Such a big battle just lasted really about 5 minutes or so. It used to be faster, as I understand it, and they slowed battles down before release. I like battles to last like 2 full stacks. I think it should last between 5 and 10 minutes minimum. I think if they're too slow, then the human player has an advantage because he has more time to manage his units, and that's part of the reason why they make them so fast. Okay, so that was the battle. So we definitely lost one unit. Almost 31 of the sword units has been destroyed. That heavy spear unit also may have lost it, and the second sword unit suffered heavy casualties. So it's impossible to pronounce the enemy general, but it doesn't look like it was their king. We lost 744 men, the enemy lost more than twice as many. So it's been a victory. So we lost just one unit, that's nice. So just one of those sword units. Shame, but just one unit is acceptable. The enemy is left with some light spearmen, some depleted archers, and very depleted cavalry, light cavalry unit, I think. We've destroyed the enemy army. So the enemy general has been slain. Rothweird.
We will serve you well.
That's very good. Good to hear. And our king attacks the remnants of the enemy army. We will auto-resolve. And that's it. A victory. We can call on the warriors, although they are Saxons.
For the glory
They
of the
have to
country.
serve new masters now. They were going to fight for the glory of the Cymry. So, we have the option to take this place, Ithindun, but the second enemy army is here. This could be their king. And we are in a kind of somewhat depleted state, especially our heavy units, so I'd rather avoid battle at this point. We can go back to Bath, or we can head towards here. The problem is if we head west, we cannot take any of those settlements, but it is safer to go west until we can replenish our losses. In the meantime, our other generals are down here. One of them has taken the island of Gwined. This general is besieging Wareham. So we can attack. We have the advantage. So this general Athwall, I think it's called, is one who gets low upkeep costs for spearmen. So he has plenty of spearmen, but that was enough to defeat the enemy with relatively light casualties, not all that light. So he lost about 506 men, that's quite a bit. And so, we can liberate, occupy or sack. Probably there were a different faction of West Seaxe, but we occupied anyway, which gave us heroism. I think if you occupied, sometimes it helps with heroism. If you don't sack, sometimes I have that feeling. And we can appoint a governor, it looks like it. So we have the perfect man for the job, Tudors, who is a born governor. He can be the governor of Dorset. Then everything looks good, everything looks hanky-dory. We haven't any loyalty issues.
Every man will do his duty.
So we have another general here. So we have a couple of solitary generals here. This one has some cavalry on the right, this one. The other one is solitary general. These are just quick strike kind of blitzkrieg generals who just go around taking enemy settlements.
We will serve you well.
Now the enemy is definitely on the back foot because they only have this one general you see there with a depleted bodyguard, and then they have another general here on the front with 18 units. He is the only credible force, but we have so many generals, including solitary generals or just generals with light armies,
Rodri's son will prove his worth.
that he can't be everywhere at once, so he's going to lose slowly everything he has unless he sues for peace. Here's another hill fort. So sort of Stone Age or whatever, Dark Age hill fort. Very nice. I'm fairly sure these are real historical ones, so if you go there, you'll find them, you know, if you go on holidays. So, that was the end of this episode. Thank you for watching.